Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the DJ Sessions, where we feature the best DJs, producers, and electronic music industry professionals from around the world. I'm your host, Darren, and right now I'm sitting in the virtual studios in Seattle, Washington, and coming in all the way from West Lafayette, Indiana, we have DJ ZionTulz. Hey, how's it going today?
Hey, what's going on? It's for you. Appreciate you having me here.
Yeah, it's good. I'm glad we reached out to you, and I was checking on some of your stuff. But you know what? We want to introduce you to our DJ Sessions fans. So we're going to dive right in. And the first question I want to ask, DJ ZionTulz, where's the DJ name come from?
Oh, the DJ name. Well, it's a long story, but I'll try to cut it short a little bit. Well, I used to go by a different name when I came into the DJ industry. I was more a reggae DJ. That's what I really played in the clubs or big scenes. But over time, even though my love, my own personal was house music, and we have another genre we call from Southern Africa. I'm from Southern Africa, Zimbabwe, by the way. So there's a genre we call Kwaito. It's still house based, but it's different. Right now, there's a new vibe, my piano. It's the same similar vibe we used to. So that's where I really came from. So as I used to be called Ras Tuli, over time when I integrated and started to diversify myself and actually play what I love more. Reggae was my second, but my house was my first. So I had to double up a little bit and what do we call it? I remember I used to call myself I'm going 4.0, upgrading myself. So Zion was saying I'm taking myself, you about to get Tuli, which is my name in short, at its peak. So Zion is actually taking to higher heights.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much I like to tell people too when I'm spinning, I like to take you on a journey. So my journey really is taking you up to the high heights of what I play.
And you mentioned a little bit of your background there. Did you start DJing in Zimbabwe?
Correct.
And
Started
how
DJing
long?
in Zimbabwe. I've been in the game since maybe about 15. I was about 15 when I started getting around the scene, starting to spin records, stuff. But myself originally, the music really started from the house. My old man,
And
my old man listened to all types of music. When I say all types of music, I'm talking about it was a whole broadband, which is what kind of gave me the ear to know and listen to be able to listen to other kinds of genres. Because a lot of records that were in my house was country, a lot of roots reggae, classics, a lot of the Lava's rock. I'm talking about Johnny Cash, what I'm saying, stuff like that going back then. So that's what I started listening to at the house. And this was on cassette. So I started off on cassette, playing with the double deck cassette at home, kind of figure out where to play, mimicking what you hear on the radio, how to do it, creating your own little CDs, cassettes with your own compilation, You know, we used to dab up them the blanks and put that. So that's really where my background started off. And from then I just hit it up. Music just was like always at the ear. You know, in the townships back home, we're in the townships. Music is our sound. That's our communication too.
Was the township that you grew up in, was it a bigger city kind of area, or how big is a township? Like,
It's
what would be the
we call it township.
population?
We call it township, but it's really like a neighborhood. We call it neighborhoods, but not really say. You know, you got you, and then you have the the low density area is what we call it back home. So the low density, which
Okay.
is not say the projects, not the projects, not as far left, but in between. So we're mid range, mid income range location. So we call them townships back home.
Hmm. And you said you got your start at 15 years old. Were you playing parties at 15 years old, or were you just playing
I was, I was
house?
playing. We were playing parties. I went to started playing parties. Started getting involved with my high school. When I went to high school, started getting involved with the entertainment committee. I wasn't in there as much, but my cousin was. But he came to me for everything. Yo, we got something going on here. You know, we need some music. You know, you got something that you can put together, or any music we can go get so that we play on a party. So it started off like that. I mean, we didn't have internet. This is third world country, so we didn't really get internet until late towards the 2000 or late 90s. You know, starting have to get access. Internet is there, but for like myself to get access to it, I started really, because you gotta have money, you gotta have the resources. So it kind of like worked out as soon as I got enough. That's when I really tapped into the housing. The minute I got internet, because now it's a worldwide platform that I'm looking at. So that's when I really started to tap in and start to download stuff, you know. And
What
them
uh
them
what
the early days of LimeWire.
what was the first gear that you actually started playing on? Was it vinyl? Were you on
Cassette
vinyl decks? Yeah,
cassettes. I
cassettes.
started
Okay.
I started off with cassettes
I
and
mean, you.
and and, and graduated from the cassette to the vinyl. But I'll say it was interchangeable because we had a vinyl. So sometimes I'll play a vinyl song, and then the next song is playing on a cassette because
And you were able to
we had
mix
that,
it.
we had a double with the double operation system. So you had a turntable on top, and then you got two cassette decks on the side. So I'll interchange those three depending on songs that I want. And you have to be quick because you don't really have the mixer to blend and do all that. So it's buttons in a rush.
Yeah, I could see how that could go. I could see how that could go.
So,
So
but it fills up. I mean, like I said, more vinyl coming into my reggae scene. That's why we got reggae off of that blades. So I've been on vinyl for the longest. Then I just switched over when we started to have Serato. Like
yeah,
early 2000s, then times. That's when I switched over to the Serato to the digital world.
what defines the term DJ for you?
DJ for me is about like myself. I like to tell a story.
Mhm.
But my story as I spin, even with my song selections, I try to give all the emotions that a human being can kind of have. The happy parts. I like the happy parts. I like to do, the dance parts. If we have, you go dark a little bit, but more myself being in the industry of the house scene, it's all about different things. It's all about the feeling
Mhm.
for myself. What my sound makes the next person do. They get to be a happy place, free spirit, whatever that I can make. So that's my goal when I'm spinning. I'm spinning, looking at that, make somebody understand. Sometimes I also throw in, a lot of times I also throw in educational, which is information,
Hmm.
skits, on my stuff, just to be keep people still be relevant, in what we have going on. But a lot is just to do giving each and every aspect of feeling that a human can kind of have. So that's my outpost. And at the end, how is it sound?
Mhm.
If it sound good to the person, great. Like myself, the house Afro house is a little catchy. I'm more tribal. I like to do the spiritual parts, which is what I was just telling you. I try to give you all the aspects of it. So on the tribal spiritual aspect, biggest part, I try to put my stamp of who I am, and my stamp is the tribal parts. I try
Mhm.
to make sure that somebody, when I get done, they're gonna be like, "What music is that? Where is that from?" You know, that is when I know that I got you. The minute you coming in, you understand what I played, even if you didn't understand it, but it put you somewhere, it uplifted you. Or some people, like one of my friends, you just say sometimes you be throwing in some stuff that kind of gets me sad, but I be like, yo, it's not trying to make you sad. I'm trying to put you in through the motions. I get you sad for this song, but the next song I'm gonna get you up happy, and we're gonna
Yeah.
forget about we're gonna forget about what was going on, and we go in a free spirit zone. So that's my
Who
target.
is who has been who has been your biggest influence when it comes to your DJ career, and why?
Biggest influence, besides myself, I like to inspire the people that have driven me into that. Not too many people have actually put me to get it started. I loved it. It was in front of me at home, just having the records, having being the youngest male back home in Africa. When you're the youngest male, you are pretty much sent to do everything. So everything in the house would be brother, big bro, cousin, uncle. When they come in, you're the one doing all the running around. So sometimes, the uncles, they be chilling and they be like, yo, want some music? You over there, go get in the house. We sitting outside in the back. You be in the house and shop the songs and play some for us. And that's how I kind of started into that. And then as a youth growing up, my friends, I got a crew of friends that we started off with. Really, that was the core, I'll say, for moving forward. Because a couple times that's when we're like, you know what, let's do this on a bigger scale. We're doing this at home, we're doing this at our parties. We had our own neighborhood little parties we did. I played soccer. So every time we play soccer, when we had either after games or on weekends, we used to bet. So if we have a little cash, we do a party. We go buy some bread, buy some sodas, and then I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna bring a radio. I had a my uncle had a portable radio, so I'll say I'll bring my uncle's portable. It's got two decks, twin decks. So I'm gonna bring that and we're gonna play it. While we're at the park or even during the game. So it's just me loving the music, the sounds. I was more interested into the different sounds because, like
Mhm.
right now, my library is a little crazy. People were like, "How do you get to keep up with it?" But I'm like, "Hey, you keep up with it because if you love it, you only can follow suit with it and try to get it as much as you can."
Mhm. Who is your favorite DJ, and can you tell us why?
My favorite.
Favorite DJ.
Well, I've got a few. I've got a few, but I can base say picking them all out. I have one that has stayed, a couple that have stayed true for me with the industry. Um, there's a young fella named DJ Cairo, which is Cairo. He's in the house scene. Um, he stayed kind of consistent with the sound. I like his methodology is almost similar. Like I said, where we want to always infuse our culture into the music, even if it's electronic. Like right now, it's electronic, but we're still infusing our stuff. Keep staying on the same chords for the producers. So it's him, and then he's also his other mentor, which is Black Coffee. Uh, 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 um, I mean, for us being in this industry and Afro house scene here, those are the people that we look out to.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a radio show or podcast series that you do yourself?
I don't have one that I do now, but the lockdown time, we will all scramble and look for things to do, keeping our hands into something and playing this music. Over that time, we didn't have nobody to play for. So yep, I did. We have a platform on Facebook. We created with the other DJs. I was the only one on the US side. The base was mostly in UK. They were spread out in UK. Couple fellows up in Canada. We had it was called Lockdown Shandies. We kind of kept keeping the music relevant. Letting people know so that people stayed. Even though we're not going to the clubs now, and some stuff is not making to the radio, people are just sitting at home producing. So it was pretty much a platform where we were trying to keep people aware, stay current. We got this music is coming out. People ask to do a session of Afro House, or do a session of this, do a session of that. But right now, I don't have anything consistently on that. I've been more on the road, trying to catch up and scratch that itch from lockdown. We're still some of us are still facing it, even though we kind of got busy through and through. But that break still as far when you're looking at the music. If we didn't get a chance to play that music in front of people back then, so we're still catching up. Some of the music we're bringing in now, and for people to actually now hear it. Before we're just, so you look at it for the past those 2 years of lockdown, reading all the music that was played, if it wasn't just on the radio, people really started to gravitate to it after COVID, after the lockdown. So,
do you have any shows, online shows, live streams, or podcasts that you regularly listen to? And if you do, what would be the top three or your top one that you go to listen to?
well, I like doing a lot of these raids
Mm-hmm.
on Twitch, all over. It's a lot of talent out there, and I like to try to keep up, not just for what I do myself, but also you watch other guys, how they do, how they spin. You look at your tendencies. I like to do that. I like to look at some guys, my tendencies when I'm on decks, and compare them to some other people. Like, man, I need to step up on this. I'm still learning. I've been in the game. Yes, I'm 44. I'm going great stuff, but I'm still learning every day. I get on here, even when I get on my own decks that I use every day. I sometimes surprise myself. I'm like, oh wow, I just did that. Let me try to let's do that again. Oh, okay, it sounded good. So I look. That's what I really do with most of my. I've got too many that I followed. Like I said, being in that I look at to really pick out and say one my favorite. Mm, I followed a lot, especially in the house scene, because the music is a lot of music. That's how also you get to see here. I get to hear guys play, so I'm all over the place. I'm not faithful. I'm not faithful to one lane because I play different music myself. So I try to see this, and that to infuse onto what I do.
And you are known to blend styles ranging from house, dance, top 40, hip hop, R&B, rap. is there any other particular style that you would like to experiment with or try out, or do you do that in your spare time that doesn't get played out in public?
I on the stuff that gets them played public, I haven't really. I do a lot for myself. Like I said, blend style it's been my model. I'm big on transitions. I'm big on those things. And two, if I'm telling a story, I want to tell it fully. So that helps me to do that. I want to blend. I do other styles. Um, my main I love, like I said, right now we have a term that we call, you do the gigs that we love, and then we get the gigs that pay us.
Yeah, I know how
so
that goes.
so we have some of those genres, even though they're not the first choice of what you want to spin, is what I end up. So, which is why I've kind of put myself, I've diversified myself. I play on controller, I play on CDJ, I play on vinyl. Anything you throw up to me, I play on it. Because of why you got to be versatile enough to do and handle everything. Obviously, like we say now, people are big on like controllers versus CDJs
Mhm.
stuff. I look at it differently. Everything evolves. So does the music. It just evolved. Our equipment evolves too. Now the CDJs, what before people were scared of to kind of play on, because of what? Now some of the CDJs have the same qualities and same functions as controllers.
Mhm. Mhm. And hip
So
hop. Oh, right.
like I said, the cue points, the screens, all that stuff is what has made it. So
Mhm.
which has made me also to put myself in a broader a brand of what I do, even though my love is house. I'm a
House.
house. I'm a house head. Everything else pays bills. But I'll do it for fun too. I mean, you can't take away your fun. You gotta love the stuff and have fun while doing it. So basing on that, I fluctuate on my styles depending
Mhm.
on what is needed. Too. Some stuff, I play EDM too. It's not just Afro house. I play EDM. I play that. Who needs it gets it. You want Bollywood? You want Bollywood? Bhangra? I got it for you. You want some stuff for the guys in the Emirates, the Arabs? I play it. Being white, people like, how do you get to do that? You want a country session? I'll give it to you. It's not my number one to do, but the biggest part, like you just asked me earlier, when you're a DJ, you are it's a service industry. When I look at it, sometimes we go out there as artists, which means it's a no request zone. I'm playing what I curated to come
Mhm.
play. But then there's some areas where you are playing in environments where now the top 40, you gotta spread your library out, cater for this one, cater for that one, cater for this one. It's different. But when you got one hole to just deal with, I mean that's the fun part. You express yourself more better personally. You put in your emotions into it too. If you especially if you know your music and what you want to do, like myself, I try to put in even emotions into that stuff.
And hip hop has had turntablism culture for many years. Do you feel that EDM DJs should become a bit more creative when it comes to mixing on average?
Not necessarily the. Let me say, rephrase it for me real quick.
So, I guess hip hop is known a lot more for the vinyl, for the records, spinning. I mean, you can do it obviously on CDJs and controllers, and there is a lot more creativity with the scratching and the playing around with the decks than there is, because I see a lot of EDM DJs and they're really just they're putting on a track, and yes, they're tuning the track to the room and making sure it's all dialed in. As far as like the creativity that happens with hip hop, do you think that should happen more with electronic music?
It should kinda, but really not, because it's that aspect now where you are playing with the people's ears
Mm-hmm.
and feelings. Some people take it too hard, especially giving you an example. We don't want to hear you speak too much on a microphone.
Yeah.
So you have those things that kind of into affect the creativity. Correct, it's more creativity when you're doing a hip hop, which is sometimes also why we as the DJs that play diverse music, we like it, because I get to play all different styles. I can scratch when I have to scratch. I can go in and do, and people understand it because you're playing for those people. But then when you came to listen to the house heads, they don't want to hear no scratches. Some of them, why? Because but then you got to remember this. What I was saying earlier, house is about the feelings, and a lot of the feelings is what people look at when they're looking at it. You have a lot of sing-alongs if you realize on house music.
Mm-hmm.
A little people like to sing along. They don't like to be cut off. So when you're scratching, you remember now you're cutting off the song. It's no longer in cue to what they are used to. But when you have that environment for those that can attain what we call here, one of my DJ friends has a night, he calls it take that. So take that means what they come in is hip hop. What they're dropping it. It's been dropped in any kind of form. You have needle drop. You're doing scratching. You're having all kinds of mixing capabilities for any style of wood DJ is coming up. So which is where you come in, like you just said. Does it electro housing need it? Kinda do, but then the skeleton and the format of the house, you can do two things. If you're not blending it, you gotta blend it really super tight. Because why? Those the skeleton is not as 444 beat all the way. So you got that. So you with those variations, it's kind of hard to say, some people do, but if some people can do it, some people kind of playing around with it, like people like myself. When I open up, especially when I'm on my controller, I play variety of genres at night. Even when I'm playing where I'm resident at the club at, I play up and down, and I blend it, and when I need to blend, I scratch when I need to scratch, or when I want to scratch, depending on also who's up in front of you. But sometimes we take away that playing for myself.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not the one on the dance floor. I got people on the dance floor. That's what I got to worry about.
Mm-hmm. Does gear matter when being creative, or should an artist just be able to go with anything to awe and impress their fans?
It matters only to the person using it, which is like myself. Gear matters. Yes, it does matter. It's especially depending on what you own. So if you just own a controller, that is what you're gonna know how to use.
Mm-hmm.
That is gonna give you your most capabilities to do whatever you do, because that's what you own. You have time to practice on it. You have time to sit on it, learn all the extra functions of what that equipment has. That's what only makes a difference about equipment. There's no, I know some people run with the newest equipment, but it doesn't help running to go get the newest equipment when you don't know how to fully use the last one that you had.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
to me, it's all a matter of what's comfortable for you, what's big. Also, to me, I look at is what is coming out your speakers and what are people taking in. Are you hearing people's ears, or people are taking it proper the way your sound is coming out? Because that's the biggest part. How your sound comes out, people levitate into it, they're moving around differently, then great. But if they're not, then you know that's where you like, is it because you're using something that you used to use every day? Which is what we'll tell guys. Sometimes it's best to know what you're gonna go use before you go to your gig. If you're gonna bring your own or they're gonna provide, do you have the right drivers, way beforehand, so that you don't come out there, you're starting to do things on set, do that stuff at home, practice at home. And some guys, it's fine. I mean, egos are only bad that some guys would like, in case when you don't know, sometimes it's better to be like, yo, you know what, I can't play on that, and be simple and save yourself the stress. Because when you look bad, period. Doesn't change. It's on record. We got you. Hey, man, did you hear that mix?
What what are your thoughts on DJs that redline the mix?
Oh my goodness. That is I have no idea why people are so much in a rush to redline and pump up stuff. Volume is not what it is. You're talking about going all the way like damn near 3 o'clock on the trim. You know what I'm saying? Who does that? I mean, if you're gaining your trim is that far away, what are you doing to the ears or your people on your dance floor? I mean, that's blowing up the tops. It's screaming. It's no longer way you wanted to actually sound proper. I mean, that's my outlook. I don't. I try to tell guys too myself. I try to stay 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. If I'm going too much, you find me at 1 o'clock. But half the time, I try to balance your stuff. That's how you know what you're connecting. And two, like we just talked about, the subject we just talked about, it's about what? Knowing your equipment. Some people, you don't know what the trim does. What is the trim? What is the gain? Do you need to go up that high to do that? Look at your lights. Some guys cannot visualize just looking at the lights on a mixer, or just looking at the waves on Serato to see, know your wave not intact. You don't necessarily also just to have a headphone. You can just look at your waves and be like, you know what? But if you know your music, hey, my waves ain't, hey, my music is not heating up right. So that's my 2 cents. Guys.
If you could go back, knowing what you know now, if you could go back 25 years in music history or forward 50 years in music future, which one would you pick and why?
Before was a little bit fun, I would say, compared to now. Why? The market wasn't flooded. That's number one. The market wasn't flooded because what these controllers have done too is they've brought a lot of bedroom DJs to the forefront. Not to knock on anybody's thing, but it is what it's kind of been. So I would prefer myself, like I said, back in the day. The music was fun. The anticipation, the whole process. I enjoyed the process of getting music before. Even though now it's easier because it's a click of a button. But when you We used to do the record pulls, get stuff sent in the mail, getting double records of same cut, or having the few, what you call the few limited. Sometimes you're limited. That aspect was fun. When you got the record, you're looking at the special edition of it. Now there's nothing tangible. Everything is now MP3 files, things of that nature. We've changing around now. Even everything is evolving. Tables, we moved on. Now we got the Rev 7 running stuff. So I would prefer the longer back in the day, and two, the music was different. The music was more informational, more educational. Things. There's a fad for everything, so I like that fad better though.
Would you recommend a career as a DJ to young kids? And what are the pros and cons?
Great question. I've been dealing with that with my own kids. So would I tell another kid they can be a DJ? Yes, I would. But everything has the pros and the cons, and I'll try to give them as much information. For ourselves, it's different. But if I'm to give someone as far as guidance, yeah, I can tell them that. Why? Especially if I know that I can be in the background to mold them to what they need to be. For my experience, I believe I can kind of see. Obviously, even if I were to rewind things for myself, I can rewrite it and put it proper. Because like certain things that change. Kids, the biggest thing, which is what I just told. Actually, one of my second born, who's 14. I have a nephew who's 22, who has been DJing too at home. We used to do a lot of house parties. So we used to have him also the same way I kind of came up. Is kind of same way, but then he came to me recently. He was just doing this at home, and then a time where his mom didn't, we're not doing no parties and stuff like that, concentrate on school. So once concentrating on school, he just came back to me and said, "Yeah, uncle, can you put me back on?" I was like, "What you mean?" He's like, "I want to come DJ in the clubs and stuff." I asked him a couple of things, which is what I'll ask a younger kid right now, or younger anybody without the experience. If you want to get into this gig, you gotta have heart. And there's a lot of heart and there's a lot of discipline. For myself, I'm a parent, so it's different. I've had to adjust my DJ life, so that's another part that they have to understand. Once I have my kid, we kind of have to take breaks. I take a break for maybe a year or two where I was taking gigs, but not really, because you gotta kind of give time to make sure and balance things out. Because if you don't balance things at home, ain't gonna be no balance outside. You're over there DJing with a sad face, or you're DJing with problems in your head, thinking, but you're supposed to have fun. So I've kind of the kids. That's what I tell kids. You got to be able to separate those things, especially that we have problems. We are the life of the party. That's what we are known for. We're supposed to walk in a room and things supposed to start shaking. But people forget we're human too. We got problems at home. We got problems. We may have financial problems. You may have, kids or something going on. Somebody's sick, things of that nature. So you tell them, you got to be mentally ready for those things. Are you ready to say, hey, someone walk up to you and say, hey, here's a blunt, hit that, or here's some drugs of XYZ drug. Can you hit this? I said those are the things that you gotta be able to get in. That's what I'll tell a kid. Do you think your heart and your conscience can let you stay away from those things.
Mhm.
As I say, normally when you are in this industry, like I said, we are the life of the party. It's unfortunate that sometimes we get associated with things that we don't do,
Mhm.
and it comes a lot because why? People come in there. I don't know who hears what. I'm coming to play music and get a party. If you're a raver, you're a raver. You want to find something, go find somewhere else. But you come ask me about music, about my speaker or something, my sound, my volume. So those are the things that I'll tell little kids. You got to be able to, if you can withstand that, you can make it in this industry. Because if you don't drink, sometimes that all that drinking, all these things end up making you're no longer the person that you're supposed to be. So now you have another human being. When that is done, you are another human being. You are supposed to be one and do it separately, but also, just like we say, when you're mixing, get your transition together.
And speaking of children and some successes, I know you sent over a link. And when I looked at the link, I was very impressed with what I saw there. Tell our DJ Sessions fans about one of your children, what they did with Yellow Brick.
Well, this is my 21-year-old. It's my first. With this COVID lockdown situation, he had to kind of come home from college. So when he came home, I had to kind of find him something to do. Same things like we were talking about. I'd give him. He wants to DJ too, so yeah, I put him on the decks and stuff like that. But eventually, I was like, ready because of I'm not going to, if you're not ready to do certain things, like what you're saying, finding out, you got to know yourself first, usually before you start doing this stuff. It's not for everybody. It's fun. It can be done when you have it, but it's not for everybody. Some people are mean out there too. So, like for him, we say, what would you like to do? He started customizing shoes. So, in his process of customizing shoes, he customized, got into some competitions, and ended up signing up with Yellow Brick and got in a competition out of 35 students countrywide. His essay kind of won the whole the closing class. So his essay won everything, and Reebok picked him up for his design of the shoe that he did because it was Yellow Brick Sneaker School. So Reebok picked that up, and they produced 150 pairs limited edition of the the Reebok Legacy series. So he has his own design, he put in some glows and some stuff on the shoe just to make it different and re-relevant it back to life. So that was pretty cool. And the shoe released up in April 30th, and it was sold out in 3 hours.
Nice.
Yeah, and that I mean that was a proud dead moment right there.
Yeah. what what do you do to try and give your best, be the best, and maintain your best?
Practice,
Okay.
practice. No, it's practice, but the biggest part is also as you practice, you got to know your music, especially for us when we play. Uh, 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 One of my juniors, I'll say proteges, always be like, man, I cannot, sometimes it comes and plays on my stuff. Be like, man, I cannot keep up with the music that is on your laptop. But the way you do it, you sound like you say, I need to listen to everything I put on my laptop. If it's a music file that I'm editing, I need to listen to that song. I say, yeah, you have to listen to it, know it. Cue it up. When you cue it up, you know it, because we have these tendencies where guys, different platforms, we look at it being, it's not being cheap, but it's not knowing. When you're a professional, actually, you will know where to get the actual product of what you want to do to have the good end product. So being in what we do, we have DJ pools. We don't go YouTube. to get, you know what I'm saying? People still, some people go to YouTube, and I was telling them, I was like, you know, why you say that? I was like, well, for instance, I know myself, I listen to everything, but then someone uploaded it forever, put proof, they've improved, mastered, and whatnot. I still want to hear, make sure that everything sounds correct before I push play out there. So know your stuff. So I'm like, you know everything beforehand. You have it on your phone. If it's in your library, you can't be like, I play this track, and then in between it's got a skit where they stop and they start talking, like, the YouTube videos, stuff like that. So it's just being prepared is the biggest part. Be prepared, know your stuff. If it's equipment, look up other DJs. There's a lot of reviews where guys are now posting, which is where is, I'll say, the best time that we have now is you have guys that are putting information to educate other people that want to get into the game. So
Mm-hmm.
practice, look, watch other guys. You learn something from just watching somebody do what they do. Also, how we mix things. We don't mix the same. We mix differently. Whatever music we have.
Absolutely, absolutely. And when you're not entertaining others, what do you do to entertain yourself?
What I do to entertain myself, I'm a soccer head. I follow a lot of football. We call it football. So I follow that a lot. I used to play myself professionally, but over the years, now I'm older. The bones don't move the same way they used to do. So now we just watch. So I follow a lot of soccer. Besides, I got 4 boys, so I gotta keep them all entertained so that they don't get into things. So get the sports, baseball, anything that's they want to sign up into. Got to make sure putting time into that. So that's what I really do. Besides DJing, I work too. I'm in a logistics industry, so transport and freight and stuff like that. That's what I also do on the side.
Hmm.
Yeah, so kind of hands on in every kind of way. I mean,
Well, one last question before I finish up here is: does dance music sound better at night?
does it sound better at night? It sounds better. It sounds even better with a little bit of alcohol or something. But it does. Especially the music industry we are in, it's all about the aura too. The surroundings of what you are in is what creates that. So you know, with the dance and especially the electro music, there's a lot of things, a lot of gimmicks that are being used now in production. So it does make it a little bit different. It's the production aspect that makes it better for the night. Why? You got these lasers, you got these lights, you got these pyros, you got all kinds of stuff. You got screens. You know what I'm saying, that are visible during the day. They're not as visible and shiny and colorful as they need to. So yes, sounds better at night. And it's better at night because you can dance all you can and wild out, and not too many people will see you and talk about it.
We used to bring lights and cameras into the nightclubs, and when you're shooting with cameras, you have to have lighting for the cameras. And a lot of people would say, "Oh, it's too bright in here. People can see me dancing." I'm like, "Well, yeah, but our cameras need lighting, so it's what are we going to do here?" It's a
Yep.
trade-off. That's why I started to do my own events and parties during the daytime. Do my rooftop parties from like 6 to 10 p.m. when there was still daylight, and it was more of a loungy kickback, come to the bar, get some drinks, pre-funk, and then you can go out after that. And I like to set that kind of party up to set the vibe for the evening but I still need lights for my cameras.
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Well, ZionTulz, is there anything you want to let our DJ Sessions fans know about before we let you get going?
I mean, not much other than what some other guys have kind of said before. Anybody can be a DJ. You gotta have the right heart for it. It's not for everybody, but you gotta take practice into what it is. And two, you gotta respect yourself to be respected. Stay relevant. Stay relevant. That's the biggest one. Stay relevant and consistent to any other DJ. That's the biggest one I can tell for any other DJ is staying relevant and consistent in what we do. Why we're in an industry where it's a matter of you gotta turn people's heads. That's all it is. And if you turn somebody's head to like what you got them, but if nobody turns their head, which means you some still needs to get done, which means practice.
Awesome. And where can people find out more information about you?
I am on all the social media platforms: Snapchat, DJ ZionTulz. Instagram is the same. Facebook is the same. Twitch, same. Mixcloud, everything is DJ ZionTulz. You'll find me. It'd be nice to connect with everybody anyway, all over the world. I'm Mr. International, so I think I can fit in easy.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the DJ Sessions. It was a pleasure. We'll follow up with you in the future and see how everything is going with your artist career and what's going on in West Lafayette, Indiana.
No, man, I absolutely highly appreciate you taking the time and making the space to talk to my raggedy self and figure out what I'm trying to do and trying to introduce to this world. So people that don't know much, it is called Afro House music. Check it out. Someone needs to hear it. It's that good.
Afro House music.
Afro House. It's electronic. People get lost about it. It's still electronic. It's so good. Someone needs to hear it, and you need to hear it. Anybody?
Well, I'll definitely start checking it out. Thank you again so much for coming on the series today.
No, man, I appreciate you, Darren, man. You stay care and be safe out there, man.
Absolutely.
Hopefully we link up sometime soon.
Absolutely, DJ ZionTulz. That's DJ ZionTulz coming in from West Lafayette, India. I'm your host, Darren, for the DJ Sessions, coming to you from the virtual studios in Seattle, Washington. Househead, yeah, that's what we're talking about. I am a househead, by the way. But don't forget to go to our website, thedjsessions.com. Find us on Twitter, find us on Twitch, find us on TikTok, find us everywhere, thedjsessions.com. Our socials, follow us. Got a lot of stuff coming up, lots of new stuff on the website, our mobile app, our virtual reality nightclubs. We got the new live interview section. We just launched on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Google Play, and we'll be launching an Apple TV app soon. Okay. But again, for all that information, go to thedjsessions.com. And don't forget, on the DJ Sessions, the music never stops.
Got you on Roku in a minute.